Good morning, children. Welcome back to chemistry class. Now I'm going to start a new lesson. Our lesson name is metals and non-metals. This is lesson number 6, metals and non-metals. So here we are going to discuss what are metals and what are non-metals. So how will you identify metals and non-metals? Here we have some of the general properties of metal to identify. So what are the properties? The first one is lustrous. What is mean by lustrous? All metals are shiny when polished or freshly cut. So we can easily identify while looking those metals because they are very shiny. While looking it is very shiny and glittery. Next, flexible. Flexible means we cannot break it easily, but we can bend it. So we have a difference. So when the wood we have in our hand, we can break it, but we cannot bend it. But in case of we have a spring in your hand, you cannot break it, but you can bend it. So it was made by metal. So this is the difference between breaking and bending. So metals have a flexible nature. Next, ductile. Ductile means metals can be drawn into wires. So we know already metals are solids, so very hard in nature, but its property we can make it as a thin wires. So this is a property, we can call it as a ductile. Next, malleable. So malleable is metals can be hammered into sheets, so we can make as a sheets. So metals can be very strong and hard, solid, but we can make this one as a sheets. For a packing of food, we are using aluminium foil sheets. So it also made by a aluminium. Aluminium is also one of the metals. So we can make metals into sheets. The next property is sonorous. What is mean by sonorous? Metals ring like a bell. When they do not make a dull and thud. For example, when the metal, when we are having a vessels at your home, for mistakenly we drop the vessels, what will happen? It can make some sound. So that is a property called sonorous property. So when it is hit the surface of the any surface, as well as it can hit the other metal, so it can make a sound. This property we can call it as a sonorous property. Next, electrical conductor. All metals can conduct electricity. Yes, so it is easily passes the electricity through it. So we cannot use the metals near the electric circuits. Thermal conductor. Thermal means it is nothing but of heat. So all the metals can conduct heat. That's why we are using metal vessels for the process of cooking. So these are the 7 properties you can easily identify a metal. First one is lustrous, looking shine, flexible. Flexible, we can bend the metal. Third one is ductile. Ductile means we can draw those metal into wires. Fourth one is malleable. Malleable is nothing but of we can make metals into sheets. Then the fifth one is sonorous. When it hit the surface, it can make a sound. Then electrical conductor. So all the metals conduct electricity easily. The final one is thermal conductor. Thermal means it's conduct heat easily. Here we have some of the examples of metals. 5 common metals are copper, lead, tin, nickel and zinc. Here you can see all the metals, they have a different in color, but the properties what we discussed earlier in the slide. So those properties are same for all the metals. Next, exceptions. For these also we have some of the exceptions. Sodium and potassium, those also were metal or soft solids which can be cut with a knife. We all know very well metals we cannot break it through our hands, but once we need to break, we can melt the metal. But these two metals can be cut with the help of knife. So, like a butter, these metals are soft. Mercury is a liquid metal under ordinary condition. Metals are sonorous property. When they struck, produce a sound called metallic sound or metallic clink. So this sound we can call it as a metallic clink. For example, a ringing of a bell or a clink of coins. When we clink the coins, it can hit the surface of the floor. It can make a sound. Next thing is, metals have high density. Density means they are very solid, so they closely packed, so they have a density. For example, iron, copper, gold, and platinum. So these are some of the examples of metal. They have a high density. Next, potassium, sodium, magnesium, and aluminum have comparatively low densities under light because they are soft solid. So obviously they have low density. So metals generally have high melting point and boiling point. Because of what? Those molecules are closely packed. The intermolecular force is very low. So we cannot break the molecule easily. So for the high melting and boiling point, it needs a high temperature to boil and melt. For example, here aluminum, its melting point is 660. Boiling point is 2467 degrees Celsius. Iron's melting point is 1535 and then boiling point is 2750. Copper's melting point is 1083 degrees Celsius and then copper's boiling point is 2567 degrees Celsius. Here melting point means when the solid is going to melt into liquid. Boiling point means after it was melted, so the temperature only it is going to boil. Potassium, sodium, tin and lead have comparatively low melting points, but they have a high boiling point. So here they given what is the melting point and boiling point. Potassium has a melting point of 64 and boiling point of 774. Then sodium melting point is 98, boiling point is 882. Then tin melting point is 232 and the boiling point is 2260. Lead's melting point is 327 and its boiling point is 1740. These are soft solids, but the boiling point is high. Next, we already know that only liquid metal is mercury. This mercury is looking like this. You can see this picture. And then the mercury freezes at minus 39 degrees Celsius and boils at 357 degrees Celsius. So this is the metal, but it has a very low boiling point and melting point. Next property of metal is malleable. Malleable we know already. We need to make a solid metals into a sheet. So to spread the metals into a sheet, we can call these property as a malleable. Next, ductile. Ductile means to draw a solid metal into a thin wires. Here, see this picture, metals can be drawn into thin wire. So this is a property, we can call it as a ductile. Next, metals are good conductor of heat. See, here one metal rod is getting heated. So how the particles are moving. While heating, the particles inside the metals are very fast. It is moving from one place to another place. So this is the nature for conducting heat. See, this metal pan was heated, but why heat was given only in the one particular surface, but other end also got heated. So this is the property of metal. So whenever or wherever the places it catches heat, it immediately pass on to the other place. This is a property, we can call it as a conduction of heat. Next, metals are good conductor of electricity. So it is conducting, and when we pass the current. So we already know metals, while passing the current, inside we have a metal wires. Copper wires, obviously we all are know. It's a brown color wire. In this wire easily conduct electricity. So this is also one of the property of metal, can conduct electricity. So these are the properties comes under to identify a metals. Here is your assignment. Name some metals. List 3 properties of metals. Give an example of soft metal. Dash is the liquid metal. What do you mean by tensile strength? So write these assignments in your rough note. Thank you, children. Have a wonderful day.